Ukraine.
And of course, we're expecting the evacuations to begin a third day really today. As soon as that gets started, we'll keep you posted, of course. Well, the refugee crisis from this war is worsening by the day. The UN says almost 5.5 million people have now fled Ukraine since the invasion began in late January. And that's about 12% of Ukraine's entire population. The vast majority continue to head west, with more than 3 million refugees crossing into Poland, as you can see there in your map. I want to bring in Igor Markov. He's director of Novo Ukraine, a non-profit organization providing humanitarian needs to Ukrainians. And Igor, very good morning to you. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us. Let me start in Mariupol, because I know your teams on the ground have been helping with those sheltering in Mariupol. Give us a sense of what they're seeing and what they've been hearing on the ground.
Yes, the situation in Mariupol remains tragic on this day 68 of the war. The resistance by the Ukrainian military National Guard is heroic. But at the same time, the plight of civilians holed up in the underground city below the steel plant is really breaking our hearts. In terms of evacuation, the volunteers that we funded were able to get to the outskirts of Mariupol and bring food and medicine, get some people out. But at the same time, for reasons of operational security, I can only talk to what we did up until a week ago. The efforts continue, and we are funding, we're continuing to fund these efforts, and we're continuing, of course, to receive donations to provide help to people of Ukraine.
And just on that point, I know you can't provide much information for security reasons, Igor, but give us a sense of the challenges of bringing food and anything you can bring to those in need inside the city of Mariupol. Of course, 100,000 people still sheltering underground in the city.
Yes, the challenges are related to finding routes to get to the outskirts of the city. There are many checkpoints of Russian forces. In some cases, they take away the vehicles. They can take away the humanitarian aid, the food. In some cases, they let these in. But the main goal is really to evacuate people and support their livelihood to let them survive.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, as you pointed out there, the security of your own team and what that means in trying to get that, that operation successfully underway. I know that your NGO has been raising money for the people of Ukraine. Give us a sense of how much you've been able to raise and where that money critically is going towards. What's going towards?
Yes, since the beginning of the war, or rather 1 week before the war, when we started fundraising, we raised over $20 million. We spent between 14 and 15 million so far, which is a larger fraction than some of our peer nonprofits. A large fraction of the money has been going to medical items. We provide hospital medicine. We provide medical equipment that is requested by Ukrainian hospitals that's not available in Ukraine. Also life-saving first aid medications and devices such as tourniquets. We fund evacuation, as we discussed, basic needs, basic infrastructure such as power generators. There is really a variety of food and basic needs efforts all over Ukraine and pretty much every region that's under control of the Ukrainian government.
And if this lasts, if Russia digs deeper and if it continues for much longer, where do you see the biggest risks, Igor?
The risks are to the lives of the people of Ukraine, and at Nova Ukraine we are considering scenarios, including the long-term scenario. We're gearing for, long haul. We are structuring our fundraising efforts to make sure that donors can support the types of projects that they prefer, but also we prioritize the projects that are most dire and can save most lives, provide livelihood for most people. And this changes week by week based on the feedback we get from the volunteers in different parts of Ukraine.
And of course, worth reminding people as we're talking about Mariupol and that besieged city of Mariupol, it's not just people are stuck inside, which has been dire. Been doing that for weeks now, for 2 months or so in the besieged city of Mariupol in the Azovstal steel plant. But it's what comes next is the fact that they will be displaced, and that comes with a whole host of challenges. What are your teams on the ground doing to try and meet those needs?
We are supporting a number of refugee camps and organizations that evacuated orphanages, for example, to Western Ukraine. And so the number of people who are displaced is increasing, and this is in high millions. This is challenging. They need food, they need medicine, they need places to live. In some cases, there isn't enough place to live. They need sleeping bags. And again, this depends on the place, on specific group. We are also increasing attention to efforts to rebuild Ukraine, especially in northern parts of Ukraine, where the Russian forces were basically chased away, and these places were liberated. We funded ambulances for Bucha and Irpin. We funded power generators for the Chernihiv region, and we are continuing to see what can be done to help people return to their houses. For example, we funded plywood to put instead of the broken glasses, so that the houses become habitable again.
And I know you mentioned earlier on that you're providing medical supplies and helping with hospitals as well. What are your teams seeing in terms of many of these hospitals in the east of Ukraine and what they've been facing as that offensive pushes on?
Yes, the hospitals are getting more people who are wounded, in many cases critically wounded. This includes many civilians who were not prepared for this at all. And, there is a wide range of medications that hospitals are requesting. And so we are able to work with large pharmaceutical distributors in Ukraine that have, in many cases, they have these medications in warehouses. And so it is just a matter of connecting the requesters to the suppliers and paying for the delivery and for the medications themselves. The list goes multiple pages for individual hospitals.
Igor Markov, I really appreciate you taking time to speak to us and all the work that you and your team are doing on the ground. Thank you very much. Igor Markov there.
Thank you, too.
Well, Russia has claimed that any soldiers who do remain in Mariupol steel plant would be treated humanely. But CNN's Matt Rivers found evidence to the contrary. He has the exclusive story of one Ukrainian fighter apparently captured and later killed by the Russians. And a warning, this story contains disturbing images as well as content.